road. They're ready for anything, but they're hoping that people heed the warnings and get out of the most flood-prone zone. Have the equipment to do both boat rescues and rescues with that truck. It's obviously a
Okay, Tony Aiello there giving us a good sense of what's going on the south shore of Long Island. That's Massapequa. Evacuation's mandatory. Some people still stubbornly hanging in there. Don't do it. They tell you get out. You need to get out, and it's for a good reason.
And just the shot of the dog that we saw there in the canoe. We have to remember that we need to take care of our pets. If you have to evacuate and you can't bring your pet with you for some reason or another, make sure that somebody is looking after that pet. I know in the city, Mayor Bloomberg said that the pets are allowed in city shelters, so take advantage of that if you are in the city. Let's check now in with the mobile weather lab. Once again, meteorologist Elise Finch is in Battery Park City, and she's got the hood on now, so obviously conditions have worsened there, Elise.
Christine, you're right. We definitely have the hood on. We're here in Battery Park itself, and for people who are not from this area who don't know, Battery Park is a 25-acre public park at the southernmost tip of Manhattan. And I got to tell you, take a look at this dock here. It's been moving like this. As you can see, it's making noise. It's moving, of course, as the water churns up and gets more and more violent. This is actually a water taxi stand. Again, for people who are not familiar with the area, this is where people often get on the water taxi and head out to see the Statue of Liberty. Obviously, there's no one here right now. This is part of Zone A that has been evacuated. And even now, with the activity that we're seeing here, this is kind of a lull before things get really interesting. We're going to go over to the CBS 2 Mobile Weather Lab right now. Take a look. We have up a graphic here that talks about flood warning for Battery Park City, so that Battery Park and the nearby neighborhood. High tide is expected at 8:53 tonight. That's going to be our next high tide. And of course, that is a problem because we are expecting with the storm surge that water level to be between 10 and 12 feet. That represents major flooding. And of course, that is not the only location where we're talking about seeing some major flooding. Take a look at this high tide schedule. Battery Park, Fire Island, Oyster Bay, Seaside Heights, Ship Bottom. So we are talking about coastal areas really getting inundated. Lonnie has said it repeatedly that this is about coastal storm surge, and this is an area that is going to be hit. Now, of course, as Zone A and a public park, this has been closed. Take a look. You'll notice we do have a police car here, definitely trying to keep people away, although from time to time we do actually see people taking a walk. We've seen people out here jogging, although we seem to be by ourselves at the moment, but we have seen people out here. Take a look around. Not a whole lot of activity going on. We've been here with the CBS 2 Mobile Weather Lab. Of course, we've been checking out some current conditions as well with our instruments atop the vehicle, and really our instruments really telling us not a whole lot going on right now. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of our gauges here. And I got to tell you, wind-wise, not much. Take a look at this, 5.6 mile-an-hour wind, 6.5 from our separate gauge. So not a whole lot there in terms of our winds. Our rain has been pretty light in this area. But again, it is 8:53 when we're expecting high tide here. And that is when we will likely have to move from where we are right now. We're up the steps, as you'll notice, from that water taxi stand. But we know that the water is going to be even higher than this. So at some point, we will have to move to higher ground. But for now, though, we are here in Battery Park with the CBS 2 Mobile Weather Lab. And with that, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Elise, I'm sure that those readings on her equipment there are just going to keep crawling up as the day continues here. Now, CBS 2 viewers are sharing their pictures and their videos, helping us cover Hurricane Sandy as it approaches. So we'd like you to check out this scene right now from Freeport, Long Island. It was sent by our viewer named Raphael. Let's listen in.
This is Freeport, Long Island. Yo, this is nuts, man. This is like a river of water here. This is nuts.
Oh, we get the idea, right?
Most certainly. So there's Raphael driving down his local streets of Freeport, and you can see that the water there is already at probably, if you were standing in it, I would say thigh level, because it's up to the tires on those pickup trucks. But yeah, you can bet that the streets there are just, the waters on those streets there are just going to rise.
And hopefully that's Raphael's passenger shooting that video, staying safe, because we don't recommend driving and obviously shooting video.
Or he could have just been doing the commentary.
No, let's hope that's all it was, right?
You never know.
Meantime, a lot of people are sending in our photos and videos, and Hazel Sanchez has been sifting through it all, and some pretty great shots, aren't there?
Yeah, that video you just showed was amazing. Some of these pictures that have been coming in have been simply unbelievable. The storm's fury is really being felt all across the tri-state area. Take a look at some of these images. Lowell Flander sent this photo from Long Island City. Just look at the rising water starting to consume this park. And you can see some folks there on the right-hand side who have come out taking pictures in awe of Sandy's impact so far. And take a look at this next one down from Gloria Broughton Minnie in Red Hook, Brooklyn. That Red Hook sign really has no chance against the rising water. Before you know it, all we'll see is red instead of Red Hook, and then absolutely nothing at all. And look at these huge waves crashing in at Bell Harbor. You see one person there in the distance who ventured out to take a picture of Sandy's power, and at the bottom of this picture you can see the storm is literally creeping closer and closer, rising water making its way up the pier steps. Thanks to Carl Antoon for that photo. So if you are able to safely take some photos or some videos and would like to share them with us, please head over to our website at cbsnewyork.com. And we can't emphasize enough, please be safe and don't take any risks on taking those pictures and videos. But thank you again for sending them in.
Yeah, we sure do appreciate it. They give us some very unique views because obviously we have crews up and down the shoreline, but we can't be everywhere. So we do appreciate your help in covering Sandy. Also, a quick note about New Jersey Transit.
That's right. They are shut down through tomorrow. They just told us that a few moments ago, and I want to emphasize that basically everybody's going to be shut down tomorrow. Katie McGee's been watching the roads, and hopefully fewer people are coming out, right?
That's what we're seeing, and that's good news because we're seeing more and more closures now in effect all around the tri-state area. In fact, let's get you the very latest in New Jersey. The Garden State Parkway, we've seen these closures grow throughout the day. Everything now closed down both ways on the Parkway between exit 129 for the Turnpike and the southern terminus in Cape May. And on the Turnpike itself, the Newark Bay Extension is also now closed down both ways between exit 14 and the Holland Tunnel, and that is due to high wind. Now, speaking of the Holland Tunnel, as we take a live look, of course, the Holland and the Battery Tunnel are both closed down. You've got a 35-mile-per-hour speed restriction at the George Washington Bridge. Speed restrictions in effect at the Goethals, the Bayonne, the Outer Bridge at the Verrazano, at the Throgs Neck, Whitestone, and RFK Triborough bridges, where you also have a motorcycle and tractor-trailer ban in effect there as well. And around the city, the westbound side of the belt is closed. Farmers Boulevard to Rockaway Boulevard with a downed tree. We've also got some sporadic flooding along the belt as well. FDR Harlem River Drive combo. Northbound, you're closed down 42nd Street to the RFK Triborough Bridge. Southbound is closed RFK down to 96th Street. Again, sporadic lane closures end to end on the FDR with flooding. We've got some flooding southbound on the Deegan, closing everything down at Yankee Stadium. On the Hutch, southbound's closed at Westchester Avenue. Northbound is closed at the Bruckner, and again, that is all due to ongoing flooding. Quick check here in Westchester, Bronx River Parkway. We remain closed down both ways between the Spring and Route 100. Some light flooding along the Sawmill through Hawthorne. Tappan Zee Bridge, you're looking at a 35-mile-per-hour speed restriction, but the bridge itself will completely close down at 4 o'clock this afternoon. That is just a couple of minutes away. Alternate side parking rules and meter rules are suspended today and tomorrow. We've been saying all afternoon, just stay inside if you can.
They're not really giving tickets out today, are they? Parking tickets?
I would hope not. I would hope not, but you know what?
That would just add insult.
Well, the other thing is, if you can get your car off the street into a garage somewhere, that's even better.
That's
but hopefully you've done that already.
Best case scenario. All right, well, as we do approach the 4 o'clock hour here, we are awaiting a news conference from New York Governor Cuomo. We'll continue to monitor that situation. Here's a live picture from where that news conference will take place as we continue tracking Sandy right here on CBS 2. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
I'm not going to be able to see you. Hold on, Mom. I'm talking to some parents.
Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Having any dealing with any significant flooding in your town, in your city?
Well, you know, the surges have already, the tidal surge has already begun, and we're noticing that not only is the wave action and chop pretty high in the sound, it's well above normal. We're also noticing that some of our underlying and low-lying areas are already being flooded, which is kind of unusual because it's only half tide. But that's the direct result of this storm, which is pushing so much water into Long Island Sound. And as you know, it's like a giant bathtub. We're at the very end of the bathtub, and the water just keeps getting higher and higher. Our major concern was and still is what happens at the next high tide cycle.
Well, unlike a bathtub, unfortunately, Mayor, we can't pull the plug.
That's right.
What would you say is your one biggest concern right now on a long list, I'm sure?
Well, if you'll indulge me, I'll give you two. The
Sure.
first is the surge, the tidal surge. As you know, we have a lot of homes, a lot of residences and properties along Long Island Sound that are exposed to the fluctuations in that on Long Island Sound. And with the surge and the type of surge that's being predicted, which is highly unusual, it's a very heavy surge, we're concerned about homes being actually flooded. We've done an evacuation of our Category 1 and 2 areas, those areas that we know will be flooded by this event. But also we're starting to become very concerned with the outages. We have, and just by comparison, by noontime today, we had about 200, I think it was 198 people or homes that were out of power. Now we're over 4,000. And it just goes to show you how delicate that whole situation is. And I am concerned that if we are out of power and the damage that results from the wind, it will be another prolonged event.
Mayor, do you have the resources? Do you have the National Guard there, just in the event that should you start getting emergency rescue calls that you could, the city could respond?
We certainly have. We've been in contact with the National Guard. We have a call out for equipment should we such high water equipment if we have to go into some very flooded areas and retrieve people or actually do rescue. The governor, I'm sure, in the event that it's needed, will call out the National Guard. But right now we're kind of taking a wait-and-see attitude. Again, the next 12 hours will be critical. And if there's going to be some serious flooding problems, which are predicted, it's all going to take place between now and tomorrow morning.
Mayor Michael Pavia, thank you so much for your time. Mayor of Stamford, we wish you luck there.
Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We want to go now to New London. Diana Rossini standing by live. Diana, things look a little calmer than the last time we saw you. I think you were chasing your hat.
All right, Jerry, let's just give you a quick state of what exactly is going on here in New London. Now, in terms of the temperature right here, it's very deceiving. About 2-3 hours ago, when I was by the studios in West Hartford, it was cold. It felt more like a nor'easter type temperature. Here, it's warm. You're getting tropical type temperatures here. It's warm. I'm all bundled up, but I actually really don't even need these layers. Now, in terms of the wind, the gusts, they come every 1 to 2 minutes. It'll be calm, and then all of a sudden, 5-7, about 1:15, give or take, and it will just blow me right over. And let's talk about...
Obviously, we're having some problems with Diana Rossini's live shot. We will get that back as soon as we possibly can in these rainy, windy conditions.